Good evening, good morning, and good afternoon, and good night to everybody all over the world. This is Frank Salas, better known as the talented Mr. Salas. I'm in my beach attire because it's 8 o'clock in the morning here in the Philippines. It's a beautiful day, but before I go to the beach, I'm going to serve my tribe like I always do every single day. And to help me serve my tribe, I have to bring on my girl, Sil. And Sil is actually based on the West Coast in the Orange County area. And I met her at the Periscope Summit in San Francisco. I met her brother as well. Great team, great people. And like, if you ever meet people at a conference, there's people who are going to bullshit you, and there's people who are going to be like kind of smoozy, myself included. I'm a smoozy guy, keeping it real, keeping it 100% real. But the genuineness and the authenticity from these two was just like, whoa, I need to pump my brakes. I need to connect with these people because they're just so genuine. And that's the kind of people that I need in my circle. So I was like, let's continue this. Let's keep this conversation going on and this relationship building. Sil and I've been on her show with Diana Mae Fernandez. We've all traded influence with different people. And now as Sil is coming out with her own programs, her own courses, and her own value to the marketplace, which she's been working very hard. I remember like when we met, you were in the planning stages. A few months later, you were filming it. So she's put a lot of work into her business. And where Sil and I differ is Sil likes to come to the marketplace like ready. Like she comes with an army, with tanks, with airplanes. And I come to the battlefield with nothing. And I'm like, I'm taking that. Let's go. And I just kind of like survive that way. But Sil just is completely different. And the reason that I wanted to bring her on the show is, number one, I always bring on people on the show that I like to get consulting from. And if you're a tribe leader, you can get free consulting by bringing people on that you think is interesting, which is cool. But also that mindset and that planning is something that I have never done in business. And I've always made it happen because of my improvisational nature. But I'm at the point in my career where I've never made 7 figures in a fiscal year. I've done very well for myself, but I've never made 7 figures. And I know that all people and people that Sil surrounds herself from earn 7 figures in a year. And the habits that she has right now are the habits that I don't have. So that's why I wanted to bring her onto the show. I hope you guys are paying attention and take notes and invite your friends. Make sure you guys let people know about this webinar. We're going to be having a replay available for everybody in the Talent Tribe for a few days. And then we're probably going to lock this up in our respective vaults for our VIP clients to get some mindset, work done. So without further ado, Sil, can you tell everybody a little bit about yourself in the Talent Tribe?
Yes, definitely. Hi, everyone. My name is Silvika Roska, but I go by Sil. I started on Periscope last year and realized most people would have way too hard of a time pronouncing my name, so Sil it was. I'm a career and mental performance coach. I primarily help especially females who work in careers, etc., but then also entrepreneurs and business owners. And hi, David. Good to see you. So, how did I get started in all this mindset stuff? Right? Like, let's take it way back. As Frank said, when he met me at the conference, I have this energy to me and have this bubbly energy to me as well. And it just comes, I think it comes naturally from being one of 11 children. You need to have a lot of energy and a lot of positivity growing up in a family like that. But even more than that, so I was originally born in Romania. I moved to the States when I was 5. And the reason why I'm so passionate about mindset, and especially about the championship mindset, is because I learned at a very young age championship mindset. Everything that I did, actually today I just finished recording another session for the people in my course, and I referenced my family because my championship mindset started so early. When I was 5, at that time we had 9 children in the family, and my parents were, I think 40 and 39, and they moved halfway across the world to a country where they didn't know the language, there was no guaranteed job, and all we had with us was 1 suitcase each. They sold absolutely everything that they had, and we actually almost spent most of the money because we were supposed to fly out in like July, and then the Romanian government delayed the flights, etc. So we had 2 months of staying at a hotel in Bucharest and then fly to the United States. And that lesson that I took from there is courage. Champions have courage, you guys. Champions act in courage not because they don't have fear, but in spite of fear. My mom, by the way, as I talk, you guys, I'll be telling you the stories of where I came from, how everything that I did, I'll be throwing in those lessons in there because I want you guys to remember these lessons. And I'm all about throwing out content. And I think that's one of the reasons why Frank and I connected really well, because Frank gives content. He just gives value all the time. And I'm a strong believer in that as well. So my mom, I remember she was telling me the story of we, sold everything. We just had a goodbye party in our small village of like 500 people. We went cross country to go to the airport. And when we get to the airport to check in for our flight, they tell us, oh, sorry, you guys don't actually have room on the flight. Yeah, we know you have tickets. And we don't know when the next flight's going to be that has room. So just hang out here until we tell you that we have flights. And my mom, has 9 kids, no place to stay. She says she almost had a panic attack. She was just like, what in the world am I going to do? Where are we going to sleep? We're basically homeless. Oh my gosh. Definitely panicked. But you know what? Pulled herself together, says, you know what? My kids need to see me exemplify courage. My kids need me to be the strong one right here. And my parents, through their connections, found somehow, someplace, a hotel, then a family that we could stay at. But that courage to persist instead of, we're just going to, forget this. We're going to give up. We're going to go back to our hometown. No, they had the courage to stick it out and the courage then to move halfway across the country. So what I want to challenge you guys to do is every one of us has a champion inside of us. And Keith and I met at CEO Space, and we had a discussion about the inner champion versus the outer champion. And we all have a champion in us. But the champion inside of you will do you no good if it stays inside of you. You need to bring that champion out. You need to make that champion be the outer champion. You know how? You need to start acting courageously. You need to start living out courage in your life. So I challenge you guys. That's one lesson learned about courage and championship and champions. But I challenge you guys to take one act of courage every single day. Challenge yourself. Write that down. That's a lesson learned. That's an activity. That's a something you need to do from this webinar. Every single day, write down, today, this is one small act of courage that I am going to do. And you know what? Sometimes that small act of courage could be, I'm going to wake up today. Let's be real. Sometimes that's what life is, just have a whole bunch of things. Sometimes that small act of courage could be, I'm going to go, I'm going to speak to someone new today. Or I'm going to go to Real Estate Investor Association meeting. Just the way that, let's see. Who was it? I forgot the name. Cassandra, you just started real estate investment. When I started investing in real estate, I remember I would say, okay, I'm going to Real Estate Investor Association meeting, and I'd pump myself up. I'd park my car and be like, all right, I got this. And I'd mentally coach myself and psych myself up and be like, this is my act of courage. My parents flew across the world. I can walk into that hotel conference room and attend this association meeting. So one small act of courage every single day. I challenge you guys to that. And you know why? Because as you do one small act of courage, small steps, you get that victory, you get those endorphins, you get hooked on that victory. You continuously do those small victories, and all of a sudden you've created a habit of courage, a habit of being courageous, and a habit of being victorious, and the momentum will spill over to other stuff. So yeah, really important. Courage. About me. Moved from Romania when I was 5, and there you go. You got an entire lesson on courage and what you can do to actively be courageous in your life. Gotta love it, huh?
That's amazing. I want to just focus in and go back a little bit and just maybe really drive a point home. So you didn't have a choice. Your family didn't have a choice. You had to make it happen. And you were coming from a country, is Croatia, or I'm sorry, Romania, is that a third world country, or is that a second world country? What would you classify?
At that time, it was originally a communist country. By the time we left, they had just been freed. We had just overthrown communism. But it was basically, I guess, second world country.
Okay, cool.
Whatever it was under, yeah.
Right, and I'm in third world countries most of the time, and I outsource to third world countries. A lot of people here are very simple, very humble, and that drive that you have is it's an anomaly, to be honest with you, to have that kind of drive. But the reason you have that is because you were 5 when you came to America, and you realized, hey, this is how my life was, and you just completely shifted perceptions, realities, environments, cultures, everything. And did you go to California? Was that your first stop when you were in America?
First stop was California.
Oh, gorgeous.
Yes.
That's
Oh yeah.
gorgeous. So you saw the opportunity, and you're a smart woman. Like, and especially back then, you're probably even more intuitive, just because you're a kid, and kids are super intuitive, and they just kind of pick things up. And you were like, okay, I was here, and now I'm here. We don't have, much here, but everybody else around me does. And if I just work hard, I can make that happen. Now,
Oh yes.
the reason I bring that up is a lot of people here are like, they'll constantly say, I can't afford to work with Sil. I can't afford to work with Frank, or I can't afford to work with Alex Khan, Ashley Ann, Livestream, Katya, all of our influencer friends. Or they can't afford to buy this particular product or go to this seminar or a conference like Sil and I had met at a conference. A lot of people are always constantly telling themselves that, but you don't need money to make money in the online world, in the online space. If that's something that you want to do, if you want to be an influencer, or if you just want to promote your brand, your product, your service, all you have to do is take that one small act of courage. And that could be just posting a personal story on Instagram with the proper hashtags on a daily basis. That could be sending out one tweet with the proper hashtags that somebody could find you. It could be writing a small ebook of 5 pages and saying, this is my story. This is how I want to inspire you. It could be something, and that one small act done every single day over and over and over again then turns to a medium act, then a big act, then the small acts that used to be big for you are nothing. And now you can constantly push that boundary. And I'd like to contribute a personal story of my own. When I was 22 years old, I was in Uptown Dallas. Those of you guys who don't know Dallas, Uptown Dallas is like the most hobnob, uppity neighborhood, in Dallas, or one of them at least. And I'm a 22-year-old kid who was born homeless, really eager, chip on my shoulder. I'd been 18 months in business. I was making 6 figures, and I was like, oh, I'm doing pretty good. And I'm walking towards a networking event at the Ritz-Carlton in McKinney Avenue. And I'm like, as I get closer and closer, because I parked what was I driving at that time? I parked my 2003 Toyota Camry, pretty far away,
So no one could tell.
Yeah. And so, I'm in my suit. I'm walking up to the Ritz-Carlton, and then the closer I get, I see like Ferrari coming by. I see like Alfa Romero. All these cars. I didn't know what Alfa Romero was at the time. I was like, what kind of car is that? I never heard of that. Is that custom? And I saw like Hummers and all these cars coming in there, and people with like these really nice suits. Like, I have nice suits, but these people had like nice suits with like the individual stitching. I was like, oh man. So I get really close to the front, and I just like stop. I get paralyzed by fear. And I'm like, what if these people find out that I'm a fake? What if these people find out that I'm a phony? What if these people don't do this and that? And it was just like me, like just how you were psyching yourself up to go into a meeting. I was psyching myself down to not go in there. And I'm very ashamed to say that I turned around and I went back to my 2003 Camry. And on the way home, I was like, you know what? There was probably somebody in there that would have valued my income, my input in social media. At the time, it was like 2010. There was somebody there that would maybe invest in my spray tanning business because it was really hot and going very well. I just opened up my second location, and I was young. They'd probably vibe with me and introduce me to their network, But because I didn't even go into that room, because I didn't put myself in that position, I will never know. And I'm going to go to my deathbed realizing that and having to accept that fact. So on the way home, I was like, you know what? It's too late for me to go back to that event. But I'm never going to do that to myself ever again. I'm going to always do the opposite. And like you said, that one small act of courage, even for me, it's to go into a conference sometimes. It's to go into a happy hour. It's to go to a party or a mixer or something. It happens to everybody no matter what level you're at, and you have to constantly push that. Feel the fear and do it anyways. I know everybody says that, but I wanted to explain how it's personal to me.
Yeah, and I love it. I love that you had talked about persistent, right? One act of courage that you have to persistently follow through, because that's actually the next lesson that I was going to go into. So when I moved to the States, obviously did not know English, and I had to learn English. And so imagine learning English, and the people at home couldn't help you either because they were all learning English as well. And how do you do it? By persistently trying. I remember the first year and a half where, I would be butchering the words left and right. I remember one time when I was in the school cafeteria, and I had dropped my straw. And so I went up to the cafeteria lady, and I was trying to explain to her that I wanted a straw. And in Romanian, the word for straw is tai. So I go up to her, I'm like, can I have tai? And she looks at me, she goes, oh no, honey, we don't have pie for breakfast. I'm just like so confused, right? And but the thing is, and as a child, you don't realize that children are naturally persistent. I mean, you tell a kid no, and they'll be like, well, why? But why? But why? But I really want it. But I really want it. And so I learned English because I really wanted to. But as I got older, I realized that persistence that I had to master the English language, that's the kind of persistence I needed to show in absolutely everything. I saw that persistence in my father. He learned English. I mean, my dad is a linguist. He knows so many languages. I think he's been able to speak 10 languages in his lifetime. But he learned English. You know, I saw the persistence that they put in, the hard work, but the consistent day in, day out of persistence in making ends meet for their children so that we could have that better chance at life. And that's a championship mindset. That prepared me. So when I started on social media, when I started going on Periscope, persistently, you know, started off 2 days a week, 3 days a week, up to 6 days a week, constantly posting, constantly live streaming, constantly, you know, you just don't realize the power of consistency. There was a study that was done that said that if like the average American would read "Consistency is the Fuel for Champions." Love it, Frank. Yeah. There's a study that was done that if the average American would read one book a month for 3 years, they would become an expert on that subject. They'd be considered an expert. So imagine how much of a power, for any one of you guys who want to be social media influencers, especially the power of being persistent and consistent with your social media posting. I mean, the information and the coaching that Frank does with the Talent Tribe, and especially with social media, you guys, there's a reason why he's saying what he's saying. It's because it works. The more you consistently post, the more you will be seen in the eyes of everybody else. I mean, first of all, you will become an expert because you'll be learning, but the eyes of everyone else, they'll see you as the expert as well. And so if you want to become that champion, that expert, be consistent and be persistent in your posting. I mean, to me, it gets to the point now where, I mean, I've been able to interview multimillionaires. I've been able to go sit down at the table with people who own multiple businesses that are multi-million-dollar businesses, and they treat me as an equal because they recognize me as an expert in one area. They look at what I did on social media. I remember the very first time I would sit down at the table with some of these, I'm thinking like, well, you know, I'm not cranking 6 figures yet in my business. And they're like, you know, these guys 8 figures, you know, businesses. And like, oh, really? How about this? What do you think about this? And I'm just like blown away. I'm like, you're asking me for my opinion. What in the world? Because they recognize that champion mindset. They recognize that persistence. So consistency, you guys, is super, super, super key.
Great.
Yeah.
I was going to say,
one of the, go on. Yeah.
No, you go ahead and finish it. Finish your thought.
Oh, no, I was going to continue on to the next thought. So go ahead and say something and then I'll continue.
Yeah, I wanted to go back because you just dropped so much value to everybody there. So one thing that was just so prominent to me, at least, was you surround yourself with champions. And all champions always surround themselves by champions. Like, there's a reason in the NBA when there's an all-star game. Like, those guys, yeah, they're chumming it up or whatever, and they're having fun. But they're trading tips. They're like, hey, when I do this, this is how I spin the ball. This is how I shoot. Or this is the new drill that I'm working with. This is my new trainer. This is my new diet. And they're constantly sharing. And a true champion has no fear of competition, because if you're truly a champion, when it comes down to it, you know, you always surround yourself by champions. And if someone wants to oppose you as a champion, guess what? It's either you or him, and you'll find out. You know, sometimes it's you, sometimes it's him or her, you know, and you'll find out. But when you are surrounding yourself by like-minded, positive, well-meaning, and well-being entrepreneurs, it's never this. It's always this. Always. 100%. And so where I bring value to the marketplace is through social media consulting. I've got 7 businesses. I'm a Leo. I've got 10 brothers myself, and I've got several relationships in my life, you know, family, personal, social, all that stuff that are, you know, quite honestly neglected because of my businesses. And I'm not the best person to say, hey, did you do your homework today? Because I don't even have the patience to, you know, call my mom or talk to my little sister, you know. Those things like that, because I've got so much going on. And the reason I bring on somebody like a Silvika, you know, who is a championship mindset person, is because she is going to encourage you. She is going to give you that support. I'm going to say, this is the way to success. Do it. And I'm not going to do anything else from that, because I'm assuming that when you bring me on at my high level consulting, that you're a sophisticated entrepreneur, that you're a sophisticated business owner, that you are somebody that is going to take advice and take action on that. Now, some people aren't used to that, you know, and when you first decide to become a champion, people aren't born champions, they're made champions. Everybody has intangible skills and everybody has natural abilities that maybe they should focus on, but everybody has to develop the championship mindset. Even though, you know, Sil and I have certain intangibles, like we both speak well, we both are articulate, and English isn't either one of our first languages. This is learned. You know, we had to go through that. We had to go through that and become those. I just had a huge grasshopper jump on me, by the way. You know? So we had to learn those things. And the reason I bring that up is because you might not feel like you're a champion right now, and that's okay. The truth of the reality is you're not, because if you were, you would have the championship mindset. But now that you're aware of that fact, now you can start to build that. And some people realize it sooner than later. So I just wanted to maybe drive that point home because you brought up so much value. And I hope you guys, when you watch this, re-listen to this because Sil's been dropping some value on here.
Yeah, that's how I roll. I like the fact, though, that you brought up the collaboration, because actually that was one of the things I was going to cover later on. If you look at champions, you know, you've been talking about NBA champions. Champions have three things in common. Champions have a mindset, and if any champion you talk with, they have a similar mindset. They have a support team, right? So whether they have a coach or, you know, they surround themselves with like-minded people to mastermind, and then they have the results. And one of the mindsets of champions is that really there is competition, but the only competition really is the person in the mirror. There is no competition with everyone else. And when you look at capitalism, I mean, when you look at teamwork, a team is able to perform because the team players collaborate. When you look at our economy and at capitalism, it works best when you collaborate. And when you realize, honestly, the only person I need to be better, the only person that I need to outdo is the person that I was yesterday. That's it. And collaboration is the key, you guys, because this is what happens. If you're focusing on the competition, and this is going to be like straight up mindset, like this is information that it's actually not new information. It's been around for like hundreds of years. But if you focus on the competition aspect, then you know what you're doing? You're setting yourself up for failure already, because the mind that focuses on competition is focusing on all the negatives. And you guys, our minds are so super powerful. What you think about all the time, what you allow to remain in your mind, that is what you're going to start attracting and bringing into your life. That's what you're going to start living out into your life. So don't focus on the competition. Focus on instead collaboration and on being grateful. And I learned this. So I grew up, by the time we came to the States, we had 2 more kids. So there's 11 kids in our family. We were not financially well off, you guys. I remember in junior high, I had 3 pairs of pants. And I altered between those 3 pairs of pants day in, day out. You know, I staggered them to try to make sure that people wouldn't notice that I only have 3 pairs of pants, right? But one of the biggest things that I learned growing up in a family in which we didn't have much finances is my parents did such a great job of teaching us, instead of looking at all the things that we didn't have, instead of looking at what everyone else had and saying, oh, I want to be like them, I want to beat them, instead focus on what do you have. Be grateful for what do you have. They would compare us and say, look, where did we come from? The village that we came from a village in Romania. The village that we came from did not have flushing toilets at that time. Actually, even now, only one of the houses in that village has a flushing toilet. Everybody else still has outhouses, and it's 2016. Our parents trained us, instead of looking at everything we didn't have, to say, whoa, wait a second. Look how much you have. You have a flushing toilet. You have 2 flushing toilets in this house, right, man? Like 2 flushing toilets, 2 showers. You don't have to shower, like share a bathtub with everybody else in your house, you know, the same water. What? You're rich, right? You focus on the abundance, you focus on the gratitude, and then competition flies out the window. And the moment you make that shift, instead of being, oh, woe is me, like it sucks, like, oh my gosh, now you're grateful, and now your creativity's turned on, and now you can actually focus on becoming rampage of appreciation. Thank you. Now you can actually focus on doing something with your life. And instead of being a victim, instead of having life happen to you, you make life happen. Yeah. I know that was a lot of content, you guys. You guys really need to re-listen to that right there.
That's for sure. And being grateful is something that is just it's a game changer. Like, I was born homeless. Like, literally, when I was born, like, we had 1 hour. I was born to a single mom. We had 1 hour in the hospital. They gave me a blanket. I didn't have clothes. And, like, I spent my first night on this planet underneath a bridge with just a blanket with my mom. Like, so when I wake up every day, if I have clothes, food, water, and shelter, like, I'm Gucci. I'm good. I don't care. Like, that, everything's a bonus. And I play the game from an aspect where I literally have nothing to lose. When I walked into the casino, I didn't even have clothes, and everything else that I have from here is just a bonus. So I gamble everything. I know, like, The Richest Man in Babylon, one of my good favorite books says, never bet your last penny. Well, that guy wasn't born like I was born. I assume he wasn't. So I'm going to bet my last penny. I'm going to bet my last penny, my last favor, whatever I need to, because that's just how I play the game. I don't encourage that type of behavior. It's just what makes me, wake up. It's exciting. It's thrilling. It's scary. It's addicting. And that's how I play the game. But I suggest you guys play the game, and on however, which way it makes you happy. What I want to convey is whatever makes you just have that urge to, like, I feel like I'm bungee jumping every day. It feels amazing. And I wish that for you, and whatever that is for you. So don't be exactly like me, but if that's how you play the game, cool, play the game like that. And an expert and an influencer always should bring people with different values, different perspectives, still the like energy, because I'm very extreme. So Vika's very extreme, and yeah, we both have a lot of synergy, but we're from the same side of the cloth, but we're just from different parts of the cloth. We're still in the same team. It's just a different perspective. So yeah, being grateful is going to really help you out. And so, all right, I was born homeless in 1987, and today my job is to have an amazing interview to serve my tribe with one of my really good friends that I've met this year, brand new person in my life. And then after this, I'm going to go to the beach. I'm going to have, a nice time. I'm going to do yoga at the beach. I'm going to work out. And then I'm going to write like 3 blog posts. I'm going to write my next course outline. And I might take a call. I might not. And throughout that whole time, because I have my business set up and I put the work in that, I might get a few PayPal sales. I might get a few affiliate sales. I might get a commission check. I think I'm due a sponsorship check anytime now. So, like, who knows how that's going to work out. So I'm not having to worry. I'm not having to want. Things to me, and my perspective, they may not be at 7 figures a year, but you know what? They're not bad. They're not bad. So, I really wanted to help you bring that point home of being grateful, because when you are grateful, and then this was such a golden nugget. I got to say it again. When you're grateful, you're in a place where you're more creative. When you're in that emotional state, that creativity flows. I would not be able to go to the beach if I wasn't grateful and thankful for the opportunities that I have, and appreciate the opportunities that I have to write 3 or 4 blog posts that are going to be up forever, generate leads for all of my businesses for the next lifetime or whatever. So I just wanted to help you bring that point home and drop it back over to you, because you're doing phenomenal on this. Dr. Finch, big shout out for being on here.
There you go. Yes, I agree. I love that. When you are grateful, you definitely are in a place to be much more creative, you guys. And it's creativity that brings you forward, not competition. So yeah, definitely be grateful. And one of the things I love that you pointed out is that diversity of thought, that diversity of experiences. One of the things that I really appreciate, and I'm really grateful for having grown up as an immigrant in the United States, is I saw things differently. I literally everything, even though I grew up within, I grew up within a subculture, within the American culture, and it allowed me to value things differently. Because we came with not a lot of financial support, we were able to see things differently and take advantages of opportunities differently. When you see things differently, you see opportunities that other people don't. And take, for example, going through the educational school system here. Most people who are born in the United States and go through the educational school system take it for advantage. I mean, like, they don't take advantage of it. They take it for granted. They don't realize the amazing, we're not the best educated system, yes, our system has flaws and everything, but it's free education, and you can make out of it whatever you can. It is some of the best free education in the world. Most people don't take advantage of it. For me, because I'd come from a family where my mom was only able to go through the 8th grade. My father only through high school. He would have loved to be a college professor, but that opportunity was not afforded to him because he was a Christian in a communist country. And so when we came here, I saw opportunities differently because of my parents' life experience. And so I took advantage of the opportunity of education. And you know what that helped me? That gave me full ride scholarship to college, plus on top of that, scholarship money. So that way I could take advantage of the educational system or the relationships that I built in college, which then actually led to the job that I had outside of college. So in 2008, when the Great Recession hit and all my colleagues, I mean, all my classmates were panicking about, I can't find a job. I had already had a contract signed 6 months prior of being hired full time because I took advantage of the opportunities, and I saw those opportunities because I came from a different vantage point. So super, super important is whatever is going on in your life, whatever circumstance you're going in your life, we each have we have our perspective. So the first thing we do is we make a judgment about that circumstance or about that opportunity, or maybe we see something as a disadvantage. I encourage you guys, action item, take a step back and say, okay, wait a second, this circumstance, this thing that just happened, this is the way I think it looks like, but how can I view it from a different perspective? Let me see, you know what? Maybe what is the lessons learned that I can get from here? Or maybe this is going to help me get in contact with someone else. Like whatever it is, look at it from different point of views and notice that, because what will happen is you'll notice opportunities where other people just see weaknesses or failures or give up. And you'll never, ever know where those opportunities could lead you. So I wanted to drop that in there, you guys. View things from a different perspective and actively do that, because then you'll get into the habit of doing that.
I'm so glad you brought that up. So I want to focus in on this real quick, and then I want to talk about habits, because championship mindsets are great, but mindset is just like the first part, and that's the foundation. Like the framework is habits. But let's focus on this real quick. How can somebody actively try to view things from a different perspective? What are you gave some good examples. What are some more ways to do that?
I'll give a personal example from my career. So for the past 10 years, I was working in the defense industry, completely male-dominated industry, working in finance. And I remember one time I got moved into a position where it was like the hardest 8 months of my life. Like no joke, hardest 8 months ever. I had maybe 4 days of training, got put into this new position where the person who had trained me then left the company, and there was no way for me to get any help, and I had to figure things out on my own. A month later, we had a reorganization, so now all the processes changed. And 3 months later, another reorganization. Like it was baptism with fire hose, everything. And I remember, like it was tough, man. It was tough. Like I felt like I was banging my head against the wall, finally getting it. Had to bang my head. Yeah. And most people, and my initial reaction was, this sucks. I'm gonna leave the company. I'm gonna go get a job somewhere else because this sucks. And then I challenged myself, wait a second. What lessons could I be learning from here? I would take time out, write the things I'm grateful for. Remember, going back to gratitude, you guys, this all is linked together. I'd write the things I'm grateful for, and then I would say, okay, now from this place of gratitude and this place of creativity, how can I look at my situation? And then I realized what I was learning how to learn very fast. I started looking at all the different things that I was learning. And then I was like, oh, wait a second. And now I have the opportunity to teach my colleagues a lesson on the power of positivity, and gratitude. Oh, and then you know what? This will be instead of viewing this as this sucks, see this as this is an opportunity for me to prove my worth to the executives. Okay, boom. Now, instead of seeing the position as this sucks, the company is not taking care of me, I can't believe what's going on, I was now empowering myself to take control and to take charge. Within 8 months, you guys, I had become the most senior member of that team. And then I helped my new manager and my new boss be able to do the functions for all the quarterly close stuff. Mad props and mad kudos from the executives. But that would not have happened. That would not have been possible had it not been for me stepping back and saying, okay, I'm grateful for this. Let me be creative. And how can I view this from a different perspective? How can I view this differently and see the opportunity instead of it sucks? So that's how I would encourage you guys. Link it all together. Find reasons to be grateful. Get into that state of creativity. and then just say, okay, what am I not seeing? What opportunity am I not seeing?
I absolutely love that. And what I wanted to focus in for everybody in the Talent Tribe and everybody watching this on the replay, she changed her emotional state by reflecting on her attitude of gratitude. So like everyone's been there. I mean, I'm there maybe 20 times a day where it's like, damn, this didn't pan out, or this financing fell through on this 8-figure real estate deal where I had to go find 12 different 6-figure investors to make this 8 figures happen. And for whatever reason, the tax code, blah, blah, blah. And now how do I solve this? So when that used to happen to me, and it happens to me on a daily basis now, but when it first started happening to me, I would be like, oh my God, the deal's falling through. How do I do this? How do I do that? I would focus on the negative, but then I was like, you know what? Man, I've got 12 people investing 6 figures with me, and we had one little mix-up. Why don't I go down to the tax office or to the code compliance and just bring some coffee and donuts and just see what I need to do to make this happen? So that's what I did. And, I was able to figure out the situation and move forward. And that happens to me in all of my different businesses. My fashion company, I had one of my $20,000 shipments to Portugal held up in customs. And I'm like, yo, like, this is costing me money by the second right now, and I might be sued internationally. And I've never been internationally sued. I've been, I've been sued in America, but not internationally. Like, how do I deal with this? But then I was like, you know what? I might be getting sued internationally. That's a pretty cool thing. Like, my goals are actually, increasing. My problems are getting better. So it's all about having that attitude of gratitude and really reflecting what you did. So I really wanted to focus in and drive that point home, because so many people, when they are coming on this business where it's a little new and maybe they might not have the support, because again, one of the key factors, or one of the 3 factors of being a champion, is to having that support. And a lot of people who are going down social media and doing this internet thing for their business, their wife, their spouse, their husband, their family may not see the value in it. Like, my family doesn't see the value in it. My broker, especially, who I view as my family, with RE/MAX, he's like, Frank, you are costing me about 6 figures of my bottom line because you're not producing like you used to, and you're focusing on social media. What's your average ticket there? It's less than 5 figures. Oh my God, what are you even doing in that? Because real estate's a very lucrative game. And he's like, Frank, you're going to make yourself poor doing social media. And I was like, well, maybe this year, but next year it'll be pretty good. And then the year after that, it'll be really good too, because it just exponentially grows. And he doesn't see that. And my family doesn't see that, especially around the holidays. They're like, well, hey, we're a little light on our Christmas presents this year, buddy, So I just wanted to maybe help people drive that point home. And I got an ambulance coming here, so I'm going to give it back over to Sil.
Yeah, for sure. But yes, you guys, everything. So mindset is super, super key. And the reason why mindset is key is because we are all programmed to be habitual people. Everything that we do is habit. And so mindset and habit linked hand in hand. You can't say, oh, I took a course on mindset and that's it. It won't help you. You need to make it a habit. Because how many of you guys remember the first time you drank a glass of water? Oh, well, there you go, drinking water. That was just so perfectly timed, Frank. Oh my goodness, wow. But how many of us remember the very first time? Like, we probably don't remember, right? But you look at a child who's learning to drink a glass of water for the first time, what's their success rate? Usually more water ends up all over them than in their mouth, right? Because your brain hasn't remembered, like, oh, whoa, there's this cup. How do I move it? Okay, right? It hasn't created the neuron pathways. But as soon as your brain masters that, what does it do? It creates a shortcut. It creates a habit. So now Frank was able to drink water and look at me and laugh without spilling water on himself, right? That was you last week. Right? So that's what it is. Our brain is all about creating shortcuts and creating habits. Same thing works not only at the physical level, but also at the mental and the emotional level. Habits get created and are formed. So when we talk about courage and persistence and gratitude and seeing things from a different perspective, that is a habit. And when you look at champions, we talk about champions have the mindset. They have that support team and they have the result. The reason why they have the result is because they made it a habit to have a certain mindset. They made a habit to have that certain support team. They have made a habit to have certain actions. And today, in the actions, I just want to remind you guys of the action items that I've been dropping already. The first one was, for courage. Challenge yourself every single day to make one small action of courage. Take one small action of courage. And the persistence portion is every day. Every single day, one small action of courage. Be consistent with that. And then with gratitude, add that in there too. Every single day, write one thing that you're grateful for. Focus on that. And not just say, oh, I'm grateful for, I'm grateful for water. Say why. Why are you grateful for water? I'm grateful for water because it rehydrates me, replenishes me. It allows blood to flow through my body, allows me to think. It allows my body to function, right? Go to that level. What are you grateful for and why? And be consistent with that, because what will happen is that the habit of taking courageous action and the habit of thinking and being in a state of gratitude will allow you to see things differently. And that is what's going to start creating that championship lifestyle, that champion lifestyle in you. And so very, very important it's one thing to learn, and it's one thing to live out what you've learned. Knowledge that is not applied is knowledge soon forgotten. If you don't apply this knowledge and if you don't live it out, well, there's no point in you being in the webinar because you'll forget most of it by tomorrow. In 3 days from now, you will definitely forget most of everything you've learned here if you have not started applying it. So I highly encourage you guys, write down these action items and commit to yourself to start enacting them and start applying them, because boom, world of a difference.
Because boom.
Because boom. Here comes boom.
I love that. So I want to focus in on something that you said. Habits create neurological pathways, and that basically is a shortcut. Now, that might have went over most people's heads, and I want you to maybe go deep on that. What is a neurological pathway? What does it even mean? Is that bro science? Is that girl science? Like, what is that?
Neurological, yes. So everything that we do, if you want to be able to, me moving my hand, the brain has been sending signals through neurological pathway for me to move my hands. And the brain is always looking at how to speed things up. So for any of you guys are familiar with computers, right? With a cache on your computer when you're using the internet, is your browser will store cache. So that way, when you type in Google, when you type in Facebook, instead of searching for Facebook new again, it recognizes the shortcut, boom, and it goes. Same thing with your brain. Your brain is constantly creating shortcuts to optimize performance. And so everything that you do, so the habits that you form, the actions that you do, they create neurological pathways. But the thoughts that you think, the thought patterns that you create, those become habits too, and your brain starts creating those habits. That's why the importance of gratitude, right? Or the small acts of courage. It gets you into a habit of being courageous. So then your brain, when it's time, when something new comes up, if you're in the habit of being courageous and of acting with courage, your brain will, by default, lead you towards the option. When you start thinking, your brain starts thinking of like all the different scenarios that you could take and all the different courses of action you can take, your brain will by default start taking the more courageous action. If you have trained it to be courageous, if you have trained it to chicken out. So the way, Frank had talked about that one time, that one mixer that he walked away from. I've walked away from a mixer too, and I've regretted it, because same thing with Frank. I was like, oh, what if there was one person there that I could have met that either I could have impacted or that person could have made the major life change for me, right? So if you get in the habit of not acting courageously, your brain by default will start, you won't even notice it because it's your subconscious mind at work. You won't even notice it, but you'll by default start taking actions that are going to sabotage you because that is your habit. And it's the same thing with gratitude. If you are not in the habit of being grateful, in the habit of looking at everything from a perspective of gratitude, then by default, your brain, whenever anything happens, will take that negative reaction and you'll start reacting negatively. And that's going to affect you, but it's also going to affect the people around you, and it's going to limit your opportunities. And you're not going to realize it. You're going to be thinking, well, what's wrong? I'm putting myself out there. Hello? But because your habits, your brain habits that you've created are negative, the actions that you're taking have that negative emotion to it as well. So that's why, you guys, everything we're creatures of habit. Everything we do is habit. People, when they want to lose weight, they might be able to lose 10 pounds in 2 weeks, but if they don't create that habit of the healthy eating and then of the working out, boom, it'll go away, because your body goes back into the habit that it's accustomed to. So, there's a book called The Power of Habit. There's just so much to be said about habit. And that's why I love doing what I do, because I saw in my parents, them without even knowing, they had trained me to have positive habits. And so once I got introduced to the world of personal development, once I started, meeting people who personally know Bob Proctor, people who know the makers of The Secret, etc. And I started learning from them. I'm like, oh, wait a second. Yeah, well, I understand that because my parents taught me that. And then I realized, oh, well, that's why life has always been so easy for me. That's why school came easy. That's why athletics came easy. That's why I was so successful in my career, because the brain habits, the mindset habits that my parents ingrained in me. And you guys, it's as simple as this. Be courageous. Live in gratitude. Be persistent. Take action. See things differently. It's very, very, seems simple, right? But simple is beautiful, and simple is effective.
That was amazing. So that's a great way to give us the value of it. Let's get real though. We got the hammer and we got the nail in the board.
Let's do it.
Let's get the nail gun. Let's just just jump it out. My dad was a framer, and I spent my summers framing houses in North Carolina. So that was a little reference from all my framers out there.
There you go.
So, okay, let's say somebody is like, oh, this is amazing, Sil. This is great value. I'm really hyped up. I'm really jazzed up. But I'm acting cowardly in this one part of my life, and I have a cowardly habit in this one particular part of my life. And the reality situation is, in that particular area, I'm a coward. How do I change that? And I know you get onto steps, and I know you've give the step.
I'll go.
Yeah.
Step one is that person coming up to me, that is step one. Step one is admitting that you have a problem. It's admitting that, hey, look, this is where I'm at. I'm not happy with it. I want to change. I was actually referencing one of David Corbin. He's a thought leader that I look up to a lot too. And he had talked about, whenever you have a problem, you have to illuminate it. You don't hide it. So the first thing is you illuminate it. You find the problem. Okay, boom, this is the problem. I have a cowardly habit. All right, so you've identified the habit. And now when you look at the habit, say, okay, well, let's break the habit down. There's 3 portions of a habit. There's the cue, there's the routine, and then there's the reward. And so you look at the act that you do, the cowardly act, that's the routine. And then there's something that triggers it. The cue is like the trigger that triggers that. And then there's a reward. And there's a reason why you act cowardly, because there's a reward that you're trying to get. And so what I would ask that person to do, whether if that habit is, let's say, they, each time they want to go to a networking event, they chicken out. They're like, I'm going to go there. And then they're like, nah, never mind. And what's the reward? Look at that. Why am I chickening out? What benefit do I get from chickening out? Right. And so a lot of times though, it's just, I don't have to be uncomfortable. I get to be, my reward is I get to be comfortable and I don't have to meet new people. And so how do you change that? Well, you know what? How about this? How about next time you see a strange person, like a stranger on the street, a new person, you say hi and you just strike up a conversation. Maybe next time you're at, the store, strike up a conversation with the clerk. You don't know the clerk. You don't know the cashier. Strike up a conversation. Get in the habit of meeting new people. Get in the habit of putting yourself out of that comfort zone. You start small steps. And then eventually, you know what you do? And then you start, maybe instead of going to a big networking event, maybe a meetup. Or maybe you do want to go to a big event so that way you can blend in and you just, speak to one person, the person to your left and the person to your right. Like, you guys, seriously, sometimes it's scarier to go to a small event than it is to a big event. Because at a big event, you can blend in. You don't have to, put yourself out there. At a small event, everyone notices you. And so maybe that's what you do. Then your second step after talking to strangers is go to a big event and talk to 2 strangers. And then go to a big event and say, this time I'm going to talk to 5 people. And you work your way up like that. But honestly, the thing is, you just have to do it. You just have to do it. You can start with the small actions and work your way towards the bigger actions, but you have to do it. So you first identify what is that negative habit, what would you like to have it become, and identify small steps that you can take. Write them down, you guys. There's power in physically writing things down. And then every day, read it to yourself. Say, okay, yeah, that's right. Any questions, you guys? I'm going to be wrapping it up. And so, yeah, post questions. And you write it down, and then you're like, okay, I'm holding myself accountable. I write it down. I'm going to read it aloud to myself. I'm going to hold myself accountable. And maybe you're going to find someone to hold you accountable as well. Someone, to text you, say, yo, did you do this today? And that's how you create habits. There's no easy way to create new habits. You just have to do it day in, day out. And if you mess up, you know what? Don't beat yourself up. Just get right back on the train.
I love it. Super great, super concise.
Ooh.
And
there was a question. Yay.
Yeah.
How do you let others around you become more grateful? I love this, you guys. You cannot make other people around you be more grateful. What you can do is you can choose to be more grateful, and then let yourself be the example. Let yourself be the person that influence on others. Because this is what happens. For example, gosh, how much time do we have left? So there's two parts. First part, look up heartmathinstitute.org. You guys, there's research proven our heart emits out an electromagnetic field, and in that electromagnetic field, we have emotions embedded in there. And so if you choose to be grateful, and if you are actively, let's say you're going to a situation and you know it's going to be a negative situation and you want to make sure that you feel grateful, you're going to take a breath, right? You're going to relax your shoulders, whatever. And the way you psych yourself up, say, I'm choosing to be grateful. I am grateful. And just imagine that you're being grateful and that like you have gratitude exuding from you. And then when you go in, the people that you come in contact with, whether they know it or not, they're going to actually feel the emotion of gratitude coming off of you. And that is how you influence them. Some of them, they're going to need a lot more contact with you to be grateful. 5 years of contact maybe. Others will be 5 seconds, right? But that's how you can go about. The only real change you can make is you can make a change to yourself and hope that that change that you make to yourself will influence others. So that's that. Model gratitude. Yes, Keith, exactly. Model gratitude. That's it.
That was great. That was just a great breakdown. We've got about maybe 4 minutes left now. I just wanted to, wrap up a little bit. And I had one question actually that maybe a lot of people have overlooked in their business. So a business, at the end of the day, this is all great. This is all mindset stuff. But at the end of the day, like I'd encourage anybody, whatever day it is of the month, to go look at their sales, to go look at their revenue, to go look at their expenses and just see, okay, what does that number look like? And if that number, looks like you would have made more money at McDonald's flipping burgers. My mic is loud, but when I'm not talking, there's some construction going on over here. So they're building a school right across at the church that I live by. And so there's like a jackhammer going on. So when I speak, you can't hear it, but when I don't speak, you can hear it a little bit. But let's go back to what I was just talking about. So let's say it's the end of the month and you look at your sales and you seriously would have made more money working at McDonald's, maybe as a cashier or flipping burgers, making $10 an hour. Let's say you're doing pretty okay in your business and you would have made as much money as a manager at McDonald's. Let's say you're doing pretty good and you would have made as much money as like an area or regional manager, and then keep scaling that up. I always look at McDonald's because McDonald's was my first job, and I always just like compare myself. Like, what if I did stay down that career path and go down that path to or own my own McDonald's, And then I look at my businesses that I've been in, and I always ask myself, at the end of the month, would I have made more money at McDonald's? And if the answer to that question is yes, a few months in a row, then either you have to change something, or you have to stick it out, or you have to be okay with knowing that what it is that you're doing right now might not be the right time. Like in social media right now, the game that Syl and I are playing, it's not the right time. We're still in an early adopter phase. In 2018, 2019, 2020, that's when all this stuff's really going to hit. And right now, we might have a dozen people live, maybe a few hundred people watch this on the replay, which is pretty good. But in a few years, that number is going to be several thousand, tens of thousands, ideally going up to 1 million, because this is getting more acceptable socially. And I travel the world 30 weeks out of the year. No matter what country that I'm in, no matter what city, no matter what village that I'm in, everybody, when they're out in public, this is where their attention is, every single one of them. And our job is to get your business, your message, your value onto that phone, whether it's a business, product, service, mindset stuff. And, I just wanted to maybe help drive that point home. We did have a question that says, how do you deal with letting people go?
You just let them go. And you remind yourself, like that's one of the hardest things, because you just have to remind yourself, and it depends what kind of person too. Like, it depends who. It's harder if you let an acquaintance go. You're like, oh, this acquaintance is not vibing with me. They don't get what I'm doing, so I'm gonna slowly let them go. But and it's a lot harder if it's someone close to you, right? But this is one of the things, when you let people go, most people are way too dramatic. Like, oh, if this person's not supporting me, I'm gonna ixnay them out of my life, cut them off, chop them off, never talk to them again. No, never do that. If someone is not supporting you 100%, you have that sphere of influence, you could just push them further out towards the end of the sphere. If you look at a room, I forget who talked about this, but pretend you're in a room, right? The people in the front row, you want those to be your supporters, right? The people, the like-minded people, the people that are challenge you to grow. If someone is a naysayer, you just let them stay more towards the back of the room. You know why? Because maybe they just need time to warm up. Maybe they just need time to realize, oh, wow, you are doing something. And maybe one day you'll be able to impact their life because you kept them in that room. So by keeping them in the room, it's like maybe instead of seeing them every day, you're going to see them once a week or maybe once a month, and many times what you have to do is, when you interact, especially with people who don't support you, is stop trying to prove yourself. You don't have to prove yourself. You don't have to prove anything. You just have to be. You have to be with them. You have to love them. And if they disagree with you, say, you know what? Yeah, I understand. I understand you disagree. Yeah, but we'll just agree to disagree. And that's it. You just love on them.
That's great. I'm going to contribute, and then we'll wrap up right there. So I've got fraternity brothers that I love, literally would take a bullet for, but they are not the best people to be around as I build my businesses. And when I'm in building mode, I do put them towards the back of the room. But when it's time to celebrate and enjoy our successes, however short or long that may be, the first people on my drinking buddies list is my fraternity brothers. Like, yo, let's go to Vegas. It's on me. And we just go to Vegas and we have a blast, or we go wherever we go. And that serves its, purpose, and it helps me and it deepens relationships. But at certain points of my life, I can't be around that. Like, I'm a man. I'm a man full of flesh, and I have wants, desires, and needs. And if I'm around that kind of people, I'm going to go down a certain path that I don't want to go down. So I always make sure that I do have people in my front row who are always, encouraging me, who are keeping me accountable, challenging me, like Scylla said. But it does get easier. Like, I've cut out probably thousands of people in my life, and it does get easier. And you have to realize that being an entrepreneur, and especially being a world-class entrepreneur, and I'm assuming that you'd like to be a world-class entrepreneur, otherwise you wouldn't be on this call for this whole hour.
Exactly.
And going down that path, I hate to say it, but it is lonely. And even like Scylla and I, we're going down a certain path, and even though we like our vibe so much, I can't hang out with Scylla all the time. She can't hang out with me all the time, because we've got to go and do our own things, because that's the only way to advance. And when you realize in your people you're surrounding yourself with, those people in your front row, they're always going to support you. But if they're really on your level, if they're really peers, they can't be around you all the time. One of my people in my front row is Diana Mae Fernandez from Adults Mastermind. And she has a show with Still. I was on the show earlier this year, and she is in London right now. I'm in the Philippines. She was in New York, and we met up in Vegas for a little bit. We did our thing, and then we split ways. We talk every day for a few seconds at least. A quick Snapchat here, a quick voice message here or there, because that's how cool we are. But I can't be in London at the Snapchat Awards. I don't have any desire to be at the Snapchat Awards. I don't believe in the Snapchat Awards. I don't support it. I think I would rather go down and make some money in the real world, in the real business world, and not kind of be in like this little environment. But she's all about that, and I support her 100%. And there's a lot of networking going on there, and there's a lot of value there. For me, where I'm at right now in my journey and in my business, I'm not there. And the reason that I convey that is you can't compare yourself to other people. You can't be in their world. You can only be in your world. You only have your room. Your job is to drive your bus, and your job is to pack that bus full of people that are going to support you. When you go off course, they're going to run up to the front of the bus, and they're going to be like, Frank, you told us you were going this way, but you're going the wrong way. I mean, you can say, oh, thanks for that. I'm going to go course correct. Or I was like, you know what? Go sit your ass back down. I'm changing the roadmap. And they'll go back and they'll plug their headphones in, and they'll wait the next time that you go off that course, because that's what a true team does. that's how that you get that support, which is crucial to the championship mindset. So I wanted to contribute that real quick. If you had anything to add, please do. If not, we can wrap up.
We can wrap it up. You guys remember, courage, daily acts of courage, daily gratitude journal. Be very persistent about that. And you're going to see doing that's going to help you have different perspective on things and see opportunities that others didn't.
Awesome. Cool. So where can people find you? Where can people get to know you?
Definitely. You can find me at silvicarosca.com. And then also, I actually took Frank's advice, and I just opened up a Facebook group as well. So if they wanted, I went ahead and put it in there too. Go Frank. Go Frank. I'm constantly learning, and I'm also constantly taking advice. So open up a Facebook group as well where I'll be dropping content, etc. Everything that I used to do on Periscope in there. So that's where they can find me.
Boom. And that's an action taker right there. I gave her one in conversation, a super quick tip, and I was like, oh, let's see if she does it or doesn't. And as any business owner, when you receive consulting, whether it's complimentary, whether you paid for it, your job is to accept it, process it, and see if it makes sense for you and your business. And for Silvica's business, you can just find her Facebook group. What's the name of your Facebook group, by the way?
The Champions Corner.
So you can just go to Facebook and type in Champions Corner, and you'll be able to find it underneath the groups. And we'll have a link for you guys if you're catching the replay to check us out. So thanks again, Sil. Thanks for helping me serve my tribe. I appreciate it. I can't wait to serve your tribe.
Peace.
See you guys.